These are the best boots of 2024. I'm calling it right now. These are better than the Predator. And I know, it's May. There's a new Vapor to come out. There's a new F50 to come out. These are gonna beat all of them. The New Balance Tekela V4 Pro Plus Low. The naming system's a mess. These are fantastic. Why is V4 Plus Pro so amazing? Well, we'll start with the upper. So this is a hyper knit upper, which is actually exactly the same as what we got on the previous generation, a full one-piece knit upper boot, but they have modified it. Now, admittedly, the modifications are only slight, but they make a huge difference. So this was a good boot. And now obviously this is the Plus model, the non-low, the one piece, but it's the same upper. Now this was a little bit on the thicker side and the texture just isn't really there. Even the texture through the midfoot here, it's okay, but it's not fantastic. On the low, this texture far more effective, feels a lot nicer, and this texture on the forefoot is actually fantastic. It's really, really good, especially in the wet. But the most important thing of all about this upper is this one-piece hyper knit upper, exactly the same as we got before, is now even softer and a bit thinner, and both of those things are just massive pluses for me. These are so soft. It is ridiculous. And I'm talking out the box, on your feet, just go into a game soft. Once you've worn them a little bit, dear Lord, they're even softer. We'll get on to fit in a bit, but the softness isn't just soft for softness sake. You don't lose a whole heap of responsiveness or lockdown or anything like that. But what you do get is a boot that just molds around the contours of your feet. It's so nice. It's a one giant, perfectly formed hug for your feet. Think like a memory foam mattress or like Baymax, if you've seen Big Hero 6. So it's perfect, it's soft, it's brilliant, the texture's amazing. I love it. I really love it. The upper is incredible. Now, obviously the material being really nice around your foot is one thing, but what's your touch on the ball like? And the best word I can use to describe it is natural. And I don't mean that by barefoot, because sometimes barefoot can mean really sharp and direct. Now, this isn't necessarily that, but it does feel very natural and somewhat uninterrupted despite having the texture. It's slipper-like comfort and really classy feels and touches on the ball without padding. It's really nice. Like, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this, but it's really fantastic. We spoke about the upper there and how it molds around your foot and what the fit is kind of like. So let's just jump right into that. What is the fit like on this New Balance Tekela? Well, first thing you absolutely have to know is that you need to go up half a size in this particular boot. Now, if you saw my Furon review, I said that most people should go up half a size. You'd probably get away with going true to size if you were a little bit crazy like me. However, the Tekela, I think up half a size, no questions, absolutely has to be done, just because the style of boot, the way it fits, the way it feels. Just make sure there's absolutely no pressure points, up half a size. In terms of the width, there is actually plenty of width in this particular boot, and it's going to be really good for people who have wide feet. But if you do have a narrower foot, the shape is good enough that you should be okay as well. If you happen to have a really wide foot, New Balance absolutely got you covered, because you can get a wide fit version of this boot, or the Furon, from New Balance. So if you're in the market for a wide fitting boot and you're like, can't find one anywhere, really great boot that's going to come in a width that suits you. I've obviously already mentioned how soft the material is and that wrap around your foot, which really just helps the overall fit. And speaking of the fit, let's have a quick look at the heel here. So it's not actually very much padding in the heel. You get this bit at the top, which is kind of round more towards your Achilles, and the rest of it is very much not padded. But the actual shape of the heel itself is kind of perfect. It's heel shaped. I realize that sounds insane, but the lockdown in the heel is very good, but more importantly, it's very comfortable. Just something I haven't mentioned yet, and we actually have to get into, is how comfortable these boots are. Now, I made a big deal about the upper being soft and amazing, but part of the reason that I love it so much is how comfortable my foot is within this boot. If you're looking for a comfortable boot, this should absolutely be pretty much near the top of your list. They have done wonderful things with the comfort on this boot, all the way from the front to the back, every element of it. It's just so comfortable. And one of the reasons for that, something again I don't talk about very often because they're usually terrible, is the insole. It's New Balance's fuel cell insole. Now this isn't particularly innovative in terms of New Balance. They use this on a lot of things, but it's just a better insole than you're going to get on a lot of other top-end boots, especially from Nike and Adidas. I like Adidas's synthetic suede, but this particular shaped and slightly more padded insole is well worth looking at, especially if you're looking for a comfortable boot. Now, of course, that synthetic suede, if you were to add something with a little bit more grip to your socks on the inside, that would also be beneficial in lockdown terms overall. And there is a little bit, when you're talking about lockdown and responsiveness together here, if you're to cut really, really hard, there is a tiny bit of roll. Now, that's because the boot itself is just so soft. You're not getting a really intense structure through this midfoot area, and you can get a little bit of roll if you plant really, really hard and go. So responsiveness is good, but not amazing. Lockdown, also good, but it's a reasonably short lacing system. It's good, but not amazing. But I still think for the style of boot this is, the way that it fits, the way that it feels, I'm not going to complain about any of those things at all. And speaking of the responsiveness, we of course need to look at the outsole, which is plenty stiff and stable through this midfoot and heel area here. Especially this little added strengthening section here seems to do a lot of heavy lifting, and I absolutely love it. And I mentioned obviously taking big cuts, maybe getting a bit of roll on the upper. That's probably actually exacerbated by these little edge studs right here. So these are actually really, really great. If you make big plants and lateral movements, they do a really good job of just grabbing into the turf, into the ground, and keeping you feeling really flat and stable, and like you can push off really hard in whatever direction that you like. Now, I'm also I really like that this technology has actually come across to football boots. It's from lacrosse cleats. So the reason I like that is because I used to play lacrosse. For many years, I played lacrosse, and more recently, New Balance have got their Freeze line of lacrosse cleats. I haven't played in a very long time, but those I love. And yeah, this is a good excuse to get my get the old lacrosse helmet out. But yeah, it's a technology that's come over. In lacrosse, it's far more pronounced. You'll even get it through this rear section here, because so much of lacrosse is lateral movements and hard cuts. And they've just taken some of that element, added it here, shortened it down, and I think that it's really well worked. It does present you with a small other problem, which is that I think with these, you're maybe putting yourself in a bit more danger if you're going to go and try and use these on an AG pitch. Pretty much every other element of the sole plate itself, in terms of the studs, how long they are, what shape they are, pretty much all being conical, would lend itself to an AG pitch quite nicely. But these studs here are and can be very aggressive when cutting, probably not ideal to put onto an AG pitch. And the longer that AG pitch is, the more these are going to come into effect. So I'm not completely writing it off for an AG pitch, but certainly be careful regarding those particular studs. But on a firm ground or on a grass pitch in general, these are actually excellent. The studs themselves, the length, the layout, the style, they've lent themselves to absolutely zero pressure points and also to a really balanced feeling boot. In this Tekela and the Furon, New Balance have two of the best, if not the best, boots on the market right now, or at least in their category, and you absolutely should be considering them. And if you want a review on the Furon, click this video right here.